Hello! Pew, 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 pew. What is up, my people? Are you feeling amplified yet? We're on the Amplify stage, Amplify Impact. We've had Amplify challenges. We've had Amplified kits. We have all the things. We have all of the. Oh, I'm still back. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me okay? Is this thing on? Okay. Y'all, it is so good to see you. Who we got in the house? Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Emily. Who else we got in the house? Who is ready to go? I want to see ready in the chat. Who is ready for the great AI debate? Okay. When I saw this title, I said, hold on a second. They practiced thumbnails. Okay. The great AI debate. Kelly's ready. My dear friend Kelly, you still with us? I love that. Craig is ready. Rona's ready. Lynn is ready. I love it. Kimberly's ready. I love it. Well, y'all, I am ready too, and I am so excited to be with you all for the great AI debate. Your host is Benjamin Childers, a strategic innovator and co-founder of Stratovation Partners. First of all, can we get into that name, Stratovation? It reminds me of Stratosphere, and I'm ready to go higher, okay? Where he helps mission-driven organizations navigate transformational change. Drawing on his experience as a math teacher and as global VP of client experience at Engaging Networks, he bridges strategic vision with practical implementation. Benjamin guides nonprofits through modernization, achieving measurable impact like a 97% client retention rate. Come on, somebody. He blends analytical rigor with human-centered design to help organizations get unstuck, grow, and lead confidently in the digital and AI age. Y'all, please welcome our amazing host, Benjamin Childers, to the stage.
Thank you, Floyd, for that introduction, and welcome to everyone joining us around the world for this Oxford-style debate. We will have two teams of three arguing the motion. Generative AI, on the whole, will be a net positive for the social impact sector. You can see a poll on your screen momentarily. Please vote now on the motion. We'll poll again at the end. The winning team is the one that increases its support by the largest percentage points from the first to the final poll. Again, our motion today is generative AI, on the whole, will be a net positive for the social impact sector. Please vote now. We'll be closing it momentarily. An Oxford-style debate runs in 4 sections. We'll have 5-minute opening statements from both teams. We'll then move into an intra-panel discussion where the debaters can talk to each other. We'll have an audience Q&A, and then we'll have 2-minute closing statements, one from each team. The team arguing for the motion will begin each section. Remember, your votes now and at the end will determine the winner. Please take about 10 more seconds to vote, and then we're going to go ahead and close this poll, and we will do a second poll at the end to determine who is going to be the winner. I still see a few more trickling in. I'm going to go ahead and keep it open for just a little bit longer while I start doing team introductions. So let me start with the team arguing for the motion. Craig Johnson is the Chief Technical Officer and co-founder of Change Agent AI and founder/managing partner at Unfiltered Media. He brings deep experience in political and issue-based digital communications. Over the last decade, Craig has led major digital programs, directed research, and deployed cutting-edge AI for members of Congress and national organizations, including Community Change Action, State Voices, the Feminist Majority, Illumini Native, and Americans for Tax Fairness. He leads generative and sentiment analysis AI initiatives, pairing strategic insight and full-stack engineering to turn complex strategies into effective digital solutions. Welcome, Craig. Our next member of the team is Tracy Kronzak, is a technology, social impact, and strategy leader with 25 plus years experience as staff member, consultant, founder, and corporate practitioner, serving mission-driven organizations. Tracy holds an MPA from NYU Wagner, founded PledgeNoHate.tech, serves on the executive board of APA California, advises the Tri-Valley Conservancy Land Trust, and is a planning commissioner in Livermore, California, where they also helped co-found Livermore Pride. Welcome, Tracy. The last member arguing for the motion is Cheryl Contee. She is a pioneering technology entrepreneur and digital transformation expert known for inclusive entrepreneurship and social enterprise leadership. She is co-author of the best-selling AI for Nonprofits, Putting Artificial Intelligence to Work for Your Cause, along with her co-author, Darian Rodriguez-Heyman. She's a senior advisor to Posterchild.ai and co-founder of Change Agent AI, where she supports mission-driven AI-powered startups. Welcome, Cheryl, and welcome the affirmative team. Excellent. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll now. There we go. So this is where we are starting, everyone. We have 53% of people agree. We have 16.8% of people disagree. And we have 30% of people unsure. We'll be looking to see who moves the most audience members to their side at the end of the debate today. And with that, I'll now introduce the team arguing against the motion. Rachel Kimber is a tech for good educator and nonprofit strategist focused on transforming philanthropy through equity, innovation, and digital strategy. As founding and managing director of Full Circle Impact, she helps funders and nonprofits align people, process, and technology for social good. With 20 plus years in global grant making, compliance, risk mitigation, and data strategy, Rachel guides responsible, values aligned AI readiness and adoption. Welcome, Rachel. Ben Miller is an entrepreneur with degrees in mathematics and systems engineering, advancing applied data science in the nonprofit sector. He is SVP of Data Science and Analytics at Bonterra and has helped raise billions of dollars from tens of millions of donors for thousands of organizations. Ben serves on AFP's Research Council and is the immediate past chair of the Fundraising Effectiveness Project. The last member of the team is Philip Deng, who is the CEO and co-founder of Grantable, the first generative AI grant writing platform serving 20,000 plus users worldwide. With 15 years in international nonprofits and 4 years in AI development, he argues that nonprofits are the community systems we need as AI reshapes the economy. Philip writes for Chronicle of Philanthropy, Nonprofit Quarterly, and SSIR. He also hosts the Pillar 3 newsletter and podcast. Welcome, team, and welcome to all of our debaters. With that, I invite Craig Johnson to deliver the opening statement for the team arguing for the motion. Craig, over to you.
Hi, I'm Craig. I'm known for my spiciness, so I hope everybody's ready on this Monday. But I just want to talk a little bit about who I am because it informs why I'm on the yes of this motion. And that's why I know that AI is already, on the whole, good for the social impact movement. And the reason why I know this is because how Change Agent got started was I was sitting on a conference much like this with friends on a conference called CDOG. And during this time, one of my compatriots at Community Change Action was like, I've heard about ChatGPT. I know it's important, and I know that you know about AI. I'm wondering, can we own this ourselves? And my answer to that was yes. And so what I've done, and spent the last 2 years doing, is building an AI that is perfect for the social impact movement, that has objectively helped groups do more work than they otherwise would, and done more advocacy, more organizing than they could have without it. And that's the unique thing about what we work in. The social impact movement, unlike every other industry in the country, has an unlimited amount of work to do. That means the more press releases you write, the more activism you do, the more social media you write, the more organizing you do. There's an unlimited amount of it. And we never have enough bandwidth to do it all. I know because I've trained many orgs who all have struggled with this. AI is our ability to amplify everything. AI is essentially a very simple thing. It is the assembly line for white collars. What revolutionized America in the early 20th century has come to revolutionize white collar work today. It is an efficiency amplifier. There is relatively no downsides to it because it just makes us way better at our job. No matter if you think that it has environmental impacts, whether it thinks it has labor impact, or whether it have bias impact or security impact, AI as a technology is unique in the sense that, unlike a social media platform or an email platform, which we can't own because it takes financial scale of resources and technology that we don't have, we as a movement, as a social movement impact sector, have the ability, the moral responsibility, I would argue, and the moral imperative to not only adopt AI, but own AI from the very beginning to the end, so that we can fight those people who have state-sponsored AI, because that's really what we're fighting for. Not only is this going to be great for the social movement sector, it is a moral imperative if we are going to fight the long-term fights and live in a world in which social impact work can continue to happen. That if we don't adopt AI and the social impact world doesn't adopt these tools, we will get subsumed by our oppressors who have a level of state-backed resources that we could not hope to compete with. And simply upon the question itself, there is no other answer that you could possibly come to other than, not only is AI going to be on the whole good for the social movement impact world, but frankly, it is a moral imperative for us to own, because we're already losing the culture war in a world in which volume is the one thing that's determining it, in which the ability to be everywhere all at once is the one way that we can actually move our country to the place in which social responsibility in this work matters for the long term. And so I will end on that. But essentially, not only is a provable fact that AI is good for organizations, enabling them to do more work than they ever otherwise would, it doesn't come with the same downsides that other industries are going to face, and is a moral imperative for us to adopt in the face of state-sponsored, AI-powered, Palantir-powered opponents who seek to oppress the very people we seek to serve.
Thank you, Craig, for that excellent opening. Now, Rachel Kimber, your opening statement for the team arguing against the motion. Rachel, your 5 minutes starts now.
Can't hear.
Rachel, I think you're muted.
So sorry. It has been such a rough week. Some of you who know the context can roll with me on that one. Hi, friends. The motion asks whether generative AI will be a net positive for the social impact sector. Not the tech sector, not Wall Street. The social impact sector is built on relationships, trust, and human dignity. Our opponents will tell you that generative AI is a net positive for the social impact sector. They're wrong, not misguided or overly optimistic, wrong. Jobs, the environment, bias, hallucination, skill loss. They promise us AI will revolutionize our sector. Faster grants, smarter donors, optimized outcomes and predictions. What they don't mention is the revolution they promise would destroy the foundation of the sector. Job displacement in a sector already understaffed, climate impacts from energy AI consumes, the risk of repeating bias and discrimination at scale, the loss of critical thinking and parroting hallucinated facts. These are only surface level dangers. The deeper risk is subtler, more insidious. Every benefit they cite assumes we should want to be faster, cheaper, more scalable. But we exist because some work can't be done faster, cheaper, at scale, without losing its essence. They'll tell you humans stay in control. This is augmentation. But when algorithm suggestion is always faster, cheaper, easier, control becomes theater. We're not augmenting human judgment. We're replacing it with algorithmic convenience. Here's what's already happening. Research from the Max Planck Institute shows humans are unconsciously adopting AI language patterns. We're starting to sound like ChatGPT without realizing it. Language matters, but this isn't just about vocabulary. When AI changes how we speak, it changes how we think. Social change happens when people work together, and that's often slow, messy human work. Our processes cannot be optimized away without losing their very essence and purpose, which is to build relationships and trust and to ensure human dignity and care of the planet. Here's how we win this debate: by showing that AI harms and AI promises require us to stop being the social impact sector at all. The principles under attack: trust, relationship, and collaboration. The social impact sector runs on these three non-negotiable principles. Violation 1, trust becomes transaction. Trust requires human judgment, institutional memory, and authentic connection. AI disrupts all three. Violation 2, relationships become algorithm. Relationships take time. They require presence, patience, listening. They cannot be scaled or automated without ceasing to be relationships at all. Violation 3, collaboration becomes automation. Collaboration means working together, learning from each other, building shared understanding. AI replaces human-to-human connection with human-to-machine interaction, drifting towards machine-to-machine. They are importing private sector logic into a sector that exists for something entirely different. In business, shareholder value justifies everything. In social impact, success is measured in trust, relationship, in collaboration that builds community power. Our infrastructure isn't machines, it's people. Automating that away erodes the humanity we exist to protect. That's why Gen AI is not a net positive for the social impact sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel, for that great opening. Panelists, you now have an opportunity to engage with one another. Audience, please add questions to the Q&A. And if you want to upvote those questions, we will be using the most upvoted questions at my discretion, of course, and to ask the panelists those things. But I want to start with Tracy over on the affirmative team. So one thing that was brought up is, how do we balance out the idea of AI potentially being the new assembly line for white collar work, along with balancing the job displacement that may come from that? Tracy, the floor is yours.
First of all, I would say that anybody who's actually studied AI will tell you directly that there is job displacement. Nobody is actually saying otherwise. But at the same time, the people who have really studied it and the folks who have actually understood it to its core will not say that it's about anything other than job augmentation. And in fact, what I would say is that in the opening statement, the social impact industry is about relationships, trust, and human dignity. And I would ask in return, how much more time do you think that you would have for actually doing that human work of building relationships and trust that lead to human dignity if you were able to take something that could augment the most repeatable, tedious, and awful components of your job and free you from those constraints? And I really do want to divest, the second half of that picture, which is, the horrid context through which this is actually being played out right now is something that is not the end of social impact via AI. It is the opportunity for us to actually re-engage and clearly state, here's the investment we need from philanthropy, here is the public policy we need to make this work, and here are the ways in which we're actually going to make people's lives easier and more free by purposefully identifying the elements of their work that can be augmented and allowing them the freedom to build those relationships, trust, and human dignity from the get-go.
Thanks, Tracy. Ben, let's bring you in and continue that line that Tracy had just laid out around the amplification impact here that we have, really the use cases here to kind of like expand some more. So Ben, why don't you go ahead and run with that and see where it goes?
Well, I think there was several interesting comments there, Tracy, but it was relying heavily on regulation, which I will argue we would not be able to get universal regulation across the world to help lift up the nonprofit sector. That would just be impossible. So I don't know that that will be able to help save us. I also want to attack the augmented data job versus replace job. I mean, certainly augmentation will be helpful, but replacing jobs will be inevitable, right? There are certain jobs that can be offloaded to a computer and machine. And if we do that, we will be creating the very problem that we're trying to also solve, right? Like, the nonprofit sector is the only sector out there that can solve that type of work. The for-profit sector does want to optimize on efficiency, and therefore, the cost to have the jobs, must go down. In the nonprofit sector, we will be creating something we will then have to fix. So I do think there's a little bit of a cyclical nature there as well. So I would say that, a lot of the benefits that would come from the job augmentation or job replacement will have necessarily the opposite effect as well, and therefore will require more capacity as well.
Thanks, Ben. Craig, Tracy, Cheryl, anybody want to respond to that?
Cheryl, did you want to go? Or I just have a question, and that is jobs such as in the social impact world. What jobs in an industry that is utterly dependent on human engagement would be completely removed by AI? And I really do mean that, because every successful organization I've ever worked with has always placed mission over revenue and placed people over anything else. And then to the point regarding, policy in general, I would actually point backwards to the automotive industry and say, we always have work to do with public policy, but at the end of the day, do you know why we have seatbelts in our country? It's because Ralph Nader stood up and published unsafe at any speed. And that's exactly what folks are doing now about AI. They're identifying the exact parameters around which that policy must be created. And despite the current political context, we're seeing opportunities for even states like California, which has just put forth its first framework, to make those public policies work.
Philip, do you want to respond to that from your team?
Yeah, I love the question about what specific jobs. I would turn it around and say what jobs are not open to replacement. We're less than 3 years from the release of ChatGPT. These are the earliest months and weeks of what will always be a better AI the next day. The thing to think about is we often hear AI won't replace your job. Somebody who knows how to use AI will replace your job. And a lot of times we leave it there. The thing I would say is what happens when AI learns to do what that person's doing? The thing to think about is not ChatGPT 5 or Claude Sonnet 4 or it is imagining a stack of 10,000 AI agents at the top level, rating down, 100 layers deep, each agent responsible for a tiny micro fraction of what is your daily job. Now imagine the speed and power of that stack of technology taking on any nonprofit sector jobs. And we may say, yes, some things are have always needed to be human, but we're already seeing in our information environment, when so much of our communication and collaboration is moving online, We are already seeing AI personalities, AI agents commanding huge amounts of attention, which means monetization, which means I believe there will be the capability for very, very large, particularly viral nonprofit missions to be largely AI based, AI figureheads, AI communicators, AI almost every kind of job. And people don't even realize that they're interacting with a machine when it's just a TikTok reel or a quick donation link on their phone. So I think instead of asking, how could it not happen? The audience would be better served pushing their imaginations to say, well, if AI were to replace my job, how would it happen?
Cheryl, I feel like you're primed to kind of jump in here and respond to the question that Philip put there. Love to have you come on stage and respond.
Sure. Look, with every leap forward in innovation and technology, there have been people who feared for their jobs. You can actually go back to the early 19th century and the Luddites. We smile at the Luddites now, because it seems a little naive, but they were very serious. Those were skilled artisans, weavers, textile workers who believed that their livelihoods were being destroyed by new mechanized looms and knitting frames. Right. And so they would smash the frames. Are we going to go around and smash the computers or the data centers? Or are we going to actually embrace the opportunity to actually take the reins of this technology and actually shape how it will be implemented? I do want to bring up also the energy question. A lot of people have said that to me, hey, it's AI, it's such an energy hog. Oh my goodness. Here's what's up, folks. We are rapidly moving towards an acceleration of the adoption of clean energy. Clean energy, after all, is just a technology. And we know what happens with technology. Over time, it becomes cheaper, faster, more abundant. That is happening with clean energy. California right now is 2/3 clean energy. The Netherlands, 50%. In Germany, they actually have something called balcony solar that 1 in 10 people have, where they just hang a solar panel out and plug it in. Even the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which is the largest, obviously, oil producer in the world, says that they will be 100% clean energy by 2030. So I believe, yes, there is an issue now, but that will quickly be erased. And if only because clean energy is cheaper for those data centers.
All right. Well, I think that tees us up pretty nicely to take a shift over into energy demand and consumption. Can I get someone from the team arguing against the motion to go ahead and come up on stage and talk? Why don't we start with Rachel?
And Ben, I am taking notes on the side here. And so whatever your direct question was, you're asking about the energy issue. And so back to Cheryl's point, clean energy is not offsetting data centers now. Right now, we are having some massive problems in impoverished communities that are having, again, a repeat of the power privilege dynamic that we've seen play out many times across our sector, and even in larger size when we bring the for-profit sector in and their interest areas in taking care of shareholder interest and caring less about the communities that are harmed along the way. And so I think that we're talking aspirationally. Yes, regulation should happen. Yes, clean energy should happen. But today, that's not happening. And we don't necessarily have an environment that is conducive to that. And I think, again, as we're talking about policies and regulation at state level, how are those enforced? How is that helping make sure that the communities that we are here to care for are being protected? So I think we're speaking way too aspirationally, and we need to be dialing it back to what is actually happening in this moment.
Craig, I saw you kind of make a motion. I'm wondering if you want to hop in here.
Yeah, I just my answer to this is like talking about the harms of where we're at right now eliminates the possibilities of what happens if we don't adopt AI or AI isn't adopted by the social impact movement, and is that we will get crushed worse. Like one of the people who commented, instead of framing it as net harms are negative, right? Like, how can we talk about AI as a positive tool that we can use to eliminate much of the counter arguments that we have now, which is labor policy, bias policy. These are all policy fights that we are experts at knowing how to fight, that we could fight infinitely better with AI than without with AI. And not only that, if we don't fight it with AI, we're just going to lose even harder. And so it's frankly a question of, do we want to win? And if we do, then AI absolutely has to be a part of that aspect. And if AI is a part of that aspect, I would argue that it's a good thing for the social impact movement.
Great, thanks, Craig. We have some really wonderful Q&A questions coming in. And so one of the ones that I want to kind of skip to, and I'm looking for either Rachel or Philip to take this question. Can AI assist with developing relationships more quickly? That was one of the things that you all brought up in your opening when you were talking about trust and relationship building. And so this person is asking, can AI assist with developing relationships quicker? And this is Rona Walton, Director of Development at San Marcos Academy. Philip, go ahead.
I'd say, how has Tinder helped with developing relationships more quickly? For anybody that's been on the dating scene, there's always this tech question. And if we could just cram more into the time that we have, somehow we're going to get over that hump and we're going to realize this wonderful place that we've all been promised. You know, even the basic dynamic of this debate has treated as fixed the resources that are allotted to the nonprofit or the social impact sector. So if we assume the resources are fixed, we have a fixed amount of time and capacity, how could we not choose AI to try to help us meet more of our goals? Sure, but that's an awfully convenient rationale. Why not continue efforts that have been just starting to gain steam to actually call to attention that the scarcity mentality, 5% giving requirements for private foundations that are really just serving to continue to build wealth? What if we looked at actually changing the basic dynamic here and saying, okay, if time is what we need more of, let's focus on that. Let's not try to compress the work that we have down into smaller fragments, less personalization, more optimization. So I would say potentially it's not a hard, fast rule that you couldn't use AI to help you augment a single relationship. But humans are limited flesh and blood beings. We have so many hours in the day and so many people in our lives. If you 5x that, it's hard for me to believe that there would be anything other than turning yourself into a point of failure, even if the AI does what you want it to.
Tracy, is this all going to drive us to become our own point of failure? How would you respond to that? We'll get you unmuted.
You're
here
muted.
In just a second. Sorry, Tracy.
There we go. Sorry, I did that because I was typing at some point. I was going to say that right there is a great example of an apple to an orange comparison. You know, and I think, you know, you look at something like Tinder and it's really easy to say, oh God, I never want my organization to go into sort of swipe left, swipe right mode with either my constituents or my donors, right? It's a red herring because in fact, every relationship is predicated on building that relationship not only with human engagement, but also with deliverables promised to those human beings. And I think the opportunity here is not to focus on, you know, let's make this a swipe left, swipe right choice, because that's actually not a strategic choice for anybody. What the strategic choice is what organizations are already doing and saying, if I've had a conversation with Tracy and I have promised them a number of deliverables based on that conversation, be it a summary of our annual report, be it something about our recent investments in X, Y, or Z or A, B, and C program, how much more quickly can I get that information to Tracy and how much more efficiently can I do so to enhance that relationship, not to drop away from it? And I really want to point back to the fact that organizations that are adopting AI have actually done so not through the lens of replacement, but through the lens of what are these small, simple things that I need to do all the time that will frees me up to do more with the things I really care about and with what my mission really needs to meet.
Thanks, Tracy. We're going to take another question from the audience here. Sumiria Mian, the donor relations manager at Learning Equality, they've had the most upvoted question here. And we're going to start with Rachel and Philip. If Gen AI continues to be built in the global north and dominated by English, isn't it inevitable that it will reinforce inequities rather than dismantle them? Rachel or Philip?
Yes. Next question. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, 100%. And I think when I'm explaining how this tool works, the large language models ate the internet. So we're starting from a place of incredible bias and potential harm to the communities that we're here to care for. And right now, there is a massive tip towards the global north, towards English, and the erasure of other ways of connecting, communicating, talking, relating. And so, again, going back to the importance of that relationship piece, they take time, they take cultural context, they take a shared language. And I mean that even within English, right? We need to make sure that we understand, what are we talking about? What are we communicating about? What is that North Star we're trying to move towards? And that takes presence and patience and listening. And so, sure, there are areas where we can decide that AI might be able to augment, but the social sector foundationally is built on relationships and trust. And if we allow the tool to jeopardize that, then we have lost our identity.
Cheryl, coming over to you.
I'll be brief because I know Craig is itching to respond, but I'm actually going to quote from NVIDIA Research, which published a paper in June of this year. And that paper's title is Small Language Models Are the Future of Agentic AI. And so what that means is that we're going to be living in a world where people are going to be training their own LLMs, their own micro LLMs in whatever language they want. And all of these companies are desperate and hungry for data. You have got to believe that eventually they're going to figure out that there are giant ancient libraries in Timbuktu that haven't been translated that have a whole lot of interesting science and stuff. So I'll also turn it over to Craig for his thoughts.
I also don't think that the future of AI is dominated by North America at all. I kind of reject the premise. I mean, the Chinese models are as equally as good as American models as the English models are. Also, I think that people kind of understand the bias question wrong. The simple responsibility for it, as someone who's made his own AI and has, fine-tuned it to talk exactly like people to the point where they can't even tell the difference between who's generated the context or whether they wrote it, is that the only thing stopping the AI from having a different non-North American dominated perspective is telling it to not. Because it has 16 to 20 trillion tokens worth of information, basically has the entire written word. And although that contains bias, telling a model to not be racist is as easy as telling the model to not be racist. It's just that none of the open providers that you have now will write that line in their system prompt.
Thanks, Craig. Philip, why don't you finish off our answers here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very interesting. A language that I think is going to increasingly become dominant is code. So languages spoken by digital entities. I think regardless of whatever language you're in, there is an economic model behind all of these agents that we're using. And we're already seeing it in the sycophancy and the way that the companies that create these models are incentivized to have people stay on them. So whether it's Chinese or Northern European, I see the concern here is that all languages, all human languages, are increasingly going to be pulled into this machine realm where we have totally different incentives that are not entirely apparent to us as people, that are different from what language has historically served its purpose as for humans, which is to communicate and to share meaning between one another. Increasingly, if we are communicating with machines and having them communicate on our behalf, regardless of what language you speak in, it's going to change the dynamics of language worldwide. And I still think the reason why English and Chinese, for example, are dominant is because of the economies behind those languages, and AI is going to exacerbate and increase their power and their hold over economically disadvantaged people and the languages they speak throughout the world.
Thank you, Philip, for that, and excellent discussion from all of our debaters. Thank you so much. We'll move to closing statements, 2 minutes each. The team for the motion goes first. Cheryl, your 2 minutes starts now.
We were promised 3 minutes, by the way, so I'll try my best. I want to say thank you first to my fellow debaters. This has been a really interesting conversation, and to our moderator. But the motion before us is simple. Generative AI, on the whole, will be a net positive for the social impact sector, and the evidence is right in front of us. Social impact leaders are used to doing a lot with a little, juggling tiny budgets, huge missions, and annual reports that can make War and Peace look like a tweet. Generative AI is like that magical, smart intern who never sleeps, never complains, and somehow already knows Adobe InDesign. It's not flawless, but it is accessible, it's affordable, and it's already saving nonprofits hours of work so they can focus on people and not paperwork. Now, the skeptics have raised concerns about bias, about job displacement, and yes, the energy footprint. And we should take those seriously. But let's remember, every breakthrough has had its growing pains, whether it's the internet, email, even the spork, which, by the way, still has my vote as one of the most underrated inventions ever. On energy, yes, AI can be power hungry, but so are refrigerators. We didn't ban those, we made them more efficient. The same is happening with AI. Greener compute, renewable energy, smarter models, the trend line is bending in the right direction. And here's the kicker. AI isn't just part of the problem here. It can help solve climate challenges too, from optimizing energy grids to accelerating clean tech research. The bottom line is this. AI is already delivering positive impact. It's translating resources into dozens of languages instantly, drafting grants in minutes instead of weeks, giving tiny grassroots orgs the communication reach of global NGOs. In a world where speed matters more than ever, for democracy, climate, equity, health, AI lets us move faster without losing our values. So let's not confuse net positive with net perfect. The real magic happens when humans and AI work together, amplifying what's possible in service of our communities. For us, in the social impact world, AI doesn't just stand for artificial intelligence, it stands for amplified impact, and that's why this motion deserves your yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cheryl. Closing for the team against the motion, Philip, your time starts now.
Today's motion argues that generative AI will be a net positive for the social impact sector. Our opponents built their case on capacity and augmentation, productivity gains, efficiency metrics, cost savings. They claim Gen AI levels the playing field while keeping humans in control. But look at how they measure success: productivity, efficiency, ROI. These are private sector metrics, not social impact metrics. It is said, what gets measured gets done. The private sector loves these metrics because they're clear and simple. If a machine is more efficient than a human, lose the human. If the social impact sector subscribes to these same measures of success, we're also subscribing to their consequences. In our sector, we're motivated by values that aren't measurable using private sector metrics. We don't quantify trust. Relationships aren't meant to be optimized. Some missions don't scale. Our opponents have actually made the case for how Gen AI will compel the social impact sector to become more like the private sector, adopting a race to the bottom mentality that's corrosive to the very traits that make our sector distinct and valuable. We have chosen social impact work not because it is most profitable, but because we feel it's important. We didn't choose the path of least resistance. We chose the path of greatest humanity. And that's what we must do again now. This harder path that says some things are worth doing slowly, some processes are worth keeping human, some inefficiencies are features, not bugs. The promise of AI is seductive. Do more with less, faster, and cheaper. But our sector exists because some things can't be done faster and cheaper. Some things require the full presence of human hearts and minds. So ask yourself, why did you choose social impact work? And then ask yourself again, is that why you're choosing generative AI? Thanks.
Thank you so much. We'll now open the final poll for the next minute. If you've already voted, thank you. If not, this is the moment. Remember, Oxford-style scoring is about movement. What, if anything, changed for you tonight? While you vote, my sincere thanks to Jen and Candace at Fundraising AI for collaborating on this very interesting idea, and to Princey and Floyd for stellar production and hosting. And thank you to all for being such an engaged audience. To our debaters, events like this remind us that progress depends on honest disagreement held with respect. The issues are complex, and none of us has the full picture alone. What matters is our willingness to listen, challenge, and stay curious together. Let's carry that spirit beyond this room, argue better, imagine better, and keep showing up for the hard conversations. As you leave, consider one concrete next step. Bring a question or tension from tonight back to your team, run a small, responsible test, or invite someone affected by these technologies into your next conversation. Progress is built from many honest, iterative steps. We'll keep the poll open for just a few more seconds. If you haven't voted yet, please take a few seconds now. This is your last call to make your voice count. We'll be closing it in 5 seconds. And here we go. Show on stage. All right, here is our final poll. And I actually have the ability to show you what happened here so you can see it all at once. We are going to hide the poll from the stage. And here is our final movement here. We can see agree started with 53% and dropped to 50%. Disagree went from 16.87 up to 26.32. The disagree team, having moved the most percentage points, is our winner today. Congratulations to all. As a final reminder, I will be in the lounge to continue the conversation with anyone who wants to stop by. Have a wonderful day, and thank you, everyone.
Y'all, what? Oh my God. That was just, I just kept saying I object. Like, I didn't even know. I just kept saying help because kept me on my toes. That was amazing. Okay. Can y'all hear it in the chat for this amazing, great AI debate? Have y'all seen the movie The Great Debaters? I feel like I was on Good Will Hunting. Like, I just felt like I was on Law and Order. It was just a lot of things. It was a lot of things I was processing at a lot of times. Okay. But that was so good and engaging. And y'all, doesn't Benjamin have like the most neutral, like I'm in the middle voice? Like he did that great. You just, everything was bravo. Top 10. Okay. And y'all, if y'all thought that session was as amazing as I did, let us know. Okay. We are always trying to get better. We're trying to improve. I'm going to send all of the positive feedback to our hosts. Okay. So definitely let us know what you thought about that session. Also, as Benjamin mentioned, we have the great AI debate debrief. Come on, somebody. The debate continues. All right. But maybe this time you guys can get your own opinion in there. Make sure you go to the lounge, you navigate to the lounge and share your opinion live, okay? You know how to get to the lounge. We've been talking about it all day, but make sure you go to the reception. And then at the top, you're gonna see a lounge right next to the reception button. Also, AI Summit Plus people, y'all, okay? I've been telling you all day, It's not Summit Minus. It is Summit Plus, okay? We're going to take the amplification to the next level, all right? You're going to get 12 months of Sparks sessions for free. All 4 included in the price, okay? Lifetime access to the Living Resources Pack and invite to the Mission First AI community. $5,000 worth of value, all for $665. Available until September 17th, okay? Use the code FAI Summit. FAI Summit, y'all. And a special thanks to our sponsors. Okay, I've been calling out a different sponsor each time. So who else we gonna call out today? I'm gonna call out Avid because I saw Eric earlier. So I'm gonna call out my good friend Avid. Look at. It's not about the size of your logo, y'all. It's about the size of your love, and Avid loves y'all. I know that's for sure. Okay. But we also want to give a shout out to our presenting partners, Giving Tuesday and Virtuous. Giving Tuesday is the global, all around the world. You know, I keep thinking about we are the world. We are the children. Come on, somebody. I keep thinking about, because Giving Tuesday, they was in all the countries in that video. Okay, look it up. No, y'all, Giving Tuesday is a global movement inspiring generosity every day, everywhere. Virtuous is the responsive fundraising platform helping nonprofits build meaningful support connections and grow impact with confidence, okay? Their partnership ensures this event and all this learning is free for you. We're so grateful for their investment in helping you amplify your impact. Y'all, have y'all heard about our power sponsor, Practivated? And I'm not just saying this because Mallory is my good sis, okay? I actually have looked in Practivated myself, okay? I practiced with it. And let me tell you, I practiced and I was activated. Come on, somebody. It is that accurate. Like AI transforming how you feel, transforming how you enact, how you operate with your donors. It's incredible. Practivated is an AI-powered donor conversation simulator and fundraising coach that strengthens fundraising teams and supports fundraisers. Fundraisers practice in a no-pressure environment while leaders gain insights into team-wide strength and opportunities, helping organizations build confidence, drive donor engagement, and improve fundraising outcomes. Meet the first AI coach for fundraisers, y'all. Practivated lets you practice donor conversations in a safe, no-pressure space and get instant feedback. And y'all, I don't know, Tiffy had a little video. Tiffy's got a little video, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and play that video now. It's going down.
Every modern tool and technology available to us, why do we still struggle to meet the donor where they are in their journey? It's because technology can't replace the #1 skill set fundraisers use and need every single day to move from insights to action. The art of human conversation and connection. Because conversations move missions. The right conversation can unlock generosity, deepen trust, and fuel impact. But fundraisers rarely get a safe place to practice those high-stakes moments. That's why we built Practivated, the first AI-powered donor conversation simulator built just for fundraisers. Our AI coach, Tivy, provides real-time, personalized feedback so every fundraiser can build confidence, sharpen their storytelling, and strengthen relationships.
I'm your strategic fundraising coach built right into Practivated. My whole focus is helping fundraisers like you take confident, high-impact action by aligning with what truly drives donor behavior. I'm trained in evidence-backed strategies that center authentic connection, ethical storytelling, and time-smart execution. Nothing fluffy, all results-oriented. So whether you're navigating a tricky donor conversation, refining your outreach, or battling fundraising fatigue, I'm here for just-in-time guidance that's practical and actionable.
Ready to see it in action? Step into practice today. Practivated. Confidence for every conversation.
Okay, I didn't know Tivy was live and in living color. So thank you, Tivy. I heard you, Tivy. You was doing your thing, okay? But y'all, you can try a free session today and build confidence one conversation at a time, all right? Check them out, y'all. You're going to be amazed. I promise you, all right? Coming up next. Coming up next, y'all, we are so close to the end of the day. I can't even believe where the whole day go, okay? On the Amplify stage with me is Amplify Impact, Human First Fundraising with Custom GPTs and Agentic AI. Thank you. From my good friend Rhea Wong, and that one is CFRE certified. On the innovation stage, we have Accessible by Design, how AI can advance equity for people with disabilities. And on the impact stage, we have clouds, CRMs, and more, understanding how your partners work better together. So, you know how to get that schedule, y'all. Top right corner, hit the schedule button and make sure you continue to bookmark your favorite sessions, okay? And join on in. Y'all, in case nobody told you today, I'm proud of you. I am so proud of y'all. Y'all taking in this information. Y'all are doing amazing things, okay? Stay connected for those of you who are going to another stage. But for those of y'all who are going to stay on Amplify Impact, I will see you in just a few minutes. Thank you, y'all. See you soon.